Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Okay, let's start. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शुभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining. For the continuation of this Chaitanya Pravaha, we are discussing Chaitanya Shiksha, sorry, Sanatan Shiksha, which are the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatan Goswami. Very, very famous uh, instructional conversation on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Perhaps the most basic and fundamental philosophical thesis of the Chaitanya Vaishnavism, based on the Bhagavatam and other Vedic scriptures, uh, is rooted in this conversation. And it is from here that the subject matter of the details of the Bhakti philosophy, Sambandha, Videya, Prayojan, has been developed by the Acharyas. So, instructions to Rupa and instructions to Sanatan, very, very important. Instructions to Sanatan are more focused on the aspects of Sambandha and a little bit of Abhideya. But what is our relationship with the Lord? And the details of Ras, Bhakti, and the practice of Bhakti, uh, those kind of instructions are more part of the conversations with Srila Rupa Goswami. So we have come to the point where Sanatan Goswami has great great endeavor, finally reached and taken shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Banaras. Great struggle. Of course, Rupa Goswami also went through a struggle in the sense that he gave up his government job and then he came. But Sanatan had a greater struggle because he was actually put in jail. He actually had to bribe his way out to run away from the jail. And with great difficulty, literally days on end traveling on foot, he was running, practically not eating and drinking for long periods of time, perhaps days on end. And finally, he reaches uh, the shelter of Lord Chaitanya. Of course, along the way, his brother-in-law also helps him a bit. Then we discussed also last time the beautiful interaction in the first few days that Sanatan Goswami has with Lord Chaitanya. in the association of other great devotees like Chandrasekhar Acharya, Tapan Mishra, Maharashtrian Brahman, who are already in Banaras serving Lord Chaitanya. And how Sanatan Goswami continues to impress and please Lord Chaitanya by his wonderful display of renunciation. He gives up his expensive woolen blanket when Lord Chaitanya observes. Just looks at it, Lord Chaitanya. Then he realizes. The Brahmana tells Sanatan, come every day for lunch to my house. I will go and do Madhukari. How does it look good? Eat in your home. Sanatan refuses to sit down together with Lord Chaitanya and eat. He always wants to stay in a very respectful position. He sees Lord Chaitanya as his guru. Even though Lord Chaitanya is so affectionate, he almost treats him uh, like his equal. He embraced, the first time when they met, he came to the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya. Sanatan and Lord Chaitanya met for the first time. They embraced each other shoulder to shoulder, it is said. They were crying, both of them, in great ecstasy. So after Sanatan had shaved, had started Madhukari, refused a new pair of cloth, instead what he did, he took an old cloth, he made two pieces, made one outer garment and made one kaupin. So two sets. So with all this, he was inducted into the Babaji training. Babajis are individuals in our tradition who are renowned. They may not take formal sannyas. They don't wear saffron. They just wear white. So you'll see the Goswamis. You will not see them saffron. They are renounced. They are considered Paramahamsa stage. They don't. They are even beyond the sannyasa stage. Just wear a kaupina. Kaupina kanthashrita. Kaupi, they have an outer cloth. They have their bead bag. They're always chanting. Kanthimala, tilak, shikha. No material possessions. Not even a home that they stay under. But Sanatan, even though they built so many opulent temples, they would themselves not stay in the temples. Very interesting. So anyway, that's a very beautiful topic. And Lord Chaitanya is very, very impressed to see this simplicity from a person of the stature of Sanatan, the Prime Minister of Bengal. Can you imagine? Just few days ago, he was the Prime Minister of Bengal, steeped in wealth beyond measure. And now he only has a kaupin and an outer cloth, sleeping on the floor, eating just by doing madhukari. So finally, the time comes when Sanatan approaches Lord Chaitanya for the real purpose that a disciple approaches the Guru. Prabhupada is very clear. The disciple approaches the Guru not to get blessings for good business, good money, happy married life, nice children, remove my problems, fix my health. The real business of the spiritual master is to diagnose the original disease and to treat it. So Sanatan goes in a very humble mood. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanena tattvadarshana. One is fortunate enough to meet a qualified spiritual master who's tattvavit, who is knowledgeable in the ultimate truth. Then one should humbly approach him, fall at their feet, and with great humility ask questions on the goal of life and how to attain it. Very humbly. So Sanatan develops that mode. This is Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Sanatan Goswami starts, he approaches Lord Chaitanya. He says, I am a low-born person. my background and what I was doing all this while, and the people that I was associating with. I'm so fallen. I'm the lowest. I have been, a sinful materialist for so many years. And then he says something which is also very important for a disciple, huh, to have that mentality when he approaches the Guru. He says, I do not know what is beneficial for me or what is detrimental. I don't know. I don't know what is good. One goes like a fool. What does going like a fool means? Which means I don't know. I'm here to learn. Tell me. One doesn't go there with the baggage of one's theoretical knowledge. Correct? Arjun was giving so much knowledge to Krishna in the beginning of the Gita. Oh, like this, I should not fight, like that, I should not. Right? Okay, go on. Finally, Arjun was so confused. He says, Karpanya doshopahat swabhava prachami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yash shreyasyam nishitam bruhitan. I have no idea what is the right thing for me to do. Please instruct me what is the right thing for me to do. I don't know. Exactly the same thing. The same mood, the same spirit. Arjuna is displaying. Our acharyas are displaying. I do not know what is beneficial. The ordinary world, Sanatan Goswami says, thinks I am very learned. And note that Sanatan Goswami is not an illiterate person. He knows he's a Pandit in Sanskrit, Arabic, Persian, and so many other languages. He said some 8, 10, 12 languages he knew. And well read in the scriptures. He was listening to Bhagavatam for so many years, studying scriptures for so many years. But when one approaches the spiritual master, one doesn't go with that baggage. Because ultimately, the highest spiritual truth is received through the blessings of the Guru, is understood through the blessings of the Guru, not simply through studying. Studying is important under the directions of the Guru, but not simply through studying can one understand. Nayam atma balahine na labhya, na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Not simply through intelligence, not simply through scriptural study. And there are many quotes like this in this. So he says, people in general think I'm a great scholar. And sometimes, Sanatana Goswami is telling Lord Chaitanya, sometimes I also think I'm a great scholar. Sometimes I think, yeah, actually I know so much. I'm very learned. Of course, Sanatan is saying this out of his humility. For us, many of us, that is perhaps true. But I know I'm coming to you. I know actually I don't know. So I'm coming to you. Please, out of your causeless mercy, you deliver me. Please tell me what is my duty. I have given up everything material. What is my duty? Then he summarizes his questions, his entire inquiry on spiritual life, into 3 simple questions. Who am I? Why am I suffering in this world? Why is this world continuously giving me trouble of 3 types? Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, Adi Devi, even though I don't want it. Please tell me. I don't know any of this. I don't know how I can be benefited. Explain all these things, all these truths to me. I do not even know how to inquire. I am so lost. You know what I need to know. Sometimes we go to the Guru and ask something, to the spiritual master and ask something. I don't know how many of you had that experience. We ask the Guru a particular question, and the Guru says something and we think the Guru is not answering my question, he has not understood. Any of you have had that experience? I've had that a few times. Sometimes not only for my question, but sometimes somebody else asks a question like, why, what is Maharaj saying? How is it related to the question? So the reason it is that the Guru knows the question behind the question and what is it that the student actually needs to know. Sometimes the person even doesn't even know what to ask. They ask something from their concocted mind. But the Guru knows the root of from where the question is coming, and the Guru is adjusting that route. But the disciple who's still covered over doesn't understand what actually the Guru is trying to say. So Sanatan is admitting to that. I'm asking you this question, but I don't even know whether this is the way to ask. So I'm asking as a trigger, but at the end of the day, you know what is good for me. You tell me how I can be benefited. Please be merciful. Explain all these truths. Very nice, very exemplary. So this is a very important aspect of how we have to approach elevated spiritual personalities. The thing is, unless we approach the Lord and great souls with this attitude, uh, their instructions will not be able to enlighten our heart, or rather, our heart will not be open enough to allow their grace to come in. The problem is not with them, the problem is with us. Heart is opened by humility, gratitude, and taking a very humble, lower service position. That is the way of receiving spiritual. Sometimes 1,000 hours of scriptural reading may not do something which one sentence from the spiritual master, when it is received with the right mentality by the disciple, the amount of transformation and going deep in can happen. So this is very important. It's a Prabhupada would say, sadhu's business is to cut the knots of illusion. And when the knots are cut, even though we know they are anarthas, when the knot is cut, it is actually quite painful. It is still like a surgery because the knot has become so much part of our egoic self that cutting that is painful to the ego, blissful to the soul, but painful to the ego. So when approached in this particular manner, Lord Chaitanya, seeing the disciple ripe and ready to receive his instructions, and having the desire to make Sanatan the instrument and the medium through which this knowledge would be broadcast to the whole world, including today's class. Lord Chaitanya knew one day, 18th of March, 9:30 p.m. Malaysia time, there will be 15-20 devotees sitting and discussing this. The Lord sees across time and He's instructing. So He knows all those who are going to hear. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts first by glorifying Sanatan. So Sanatan, you have received the full blessings of the Lord. Actually, it is not that you don't know. Actually, you are so advanced. You're taking the position of a very ordinary, fallen, conditioned soul. Actually, you are already beyond the threefold mysteries. You have been blessed by Krishna's potency. That's why you know all these things. But you are setting an example for everyone to follow because it is the nature of a sadhu to inquire. Although a sadhu may know all these things, the sadhu still inquires for the sake of strictness. Very interesting. Very interesting statement. So great souls may know, but they still like to discuss about Krishna and hear the realizations of other great souls. That is why even great souls inquire. If you see so many of the conversations within the Bhagavatam, where there is a teacher-disciple relationship, you will see both the teacher and the disciple are Mahabhagavats. Both are perfected souls. Huh? Shukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj. Correct? Eternal, both eternal associates. Arjun Krishna, the Gita. Huh? Vidur Maitreya. So much of the conversation. We are discussing now Yudhishthir and Narada. Who out of this are conditioned? Is it that these people really don't know? I remember I was in my very early years in Krishna consciousness. When I would attend a class, sometimes one sannyasi would be sitting on the Vyasasan and some other visiting sannyasis would come. So they would sit in the audience. And at the end of the class, when, for example, Radhanath Maharaj is asked any questions, and then one sannyasi will raise, another sannyasi who is also a guru will raise his hand. The mic will go and then he'll ask a question to Radhanath Maharaj. And when I heard that question, and this is even before Maharaj answers, I am thinking, I was so new, I'm thinking, Arey, why is he asking this question? I also know the answer to this question. Huh? I can. I was almost tempted, let me raise my hand and I'll answer it. I know. I mean, in my heart, I didn't raise my hand. I know. And over time, I realized that great souls ask because they relish hearing the message through the realized explanation given by other great souls. There's a special taste. And devotees have, because realization, what about one principle? There are so many unlimited realizations and experiences devotees have. So there is never on any eternal spiritual principle a consideration that everything has been spoken about it. There is nothing more to discuss or speak. It's never. It's always a relation. So of course, in my hard head, took me some time to figure out. And sometimes because of my lack of spiritual maturity, sometimes even when the answer was given, I would even judge the answer. This answer is not the full correct answer. I know something more. So, the perfect guru and the perfect disciple, the guru knows exactly what the disciple needs to. The same question can be answered in maybe 1000 ways, but based on context, based on the need of the disciple, based on the audience, the speaker speaks in a way which will be truly beneficial or maximum beneficial for that individual, that audience, that circumstance. That is the art of preaching, not simply giving a by-hearted answer, not simply giving an intellectual answer. That's why a preacher's heart is not uh, driven by a desire to show knowledge. It is driven by a desire to help bring somebody out of illusion. That is why it is very important to consider for a mature preacher what is it that this person needs to know and understand in this particular situation. So, of course, when Lord Chaitanya is speaking now to Sanatan, Lord Chaitanya, of course, knows that there will be thousands and thousands and thousands of devotees in thousands of classes discussing what he is speaking. So, Lord Chaitanya is speaking to all of us through Sanatan Goswami. It's not that he doesn't know. So, these are the seminal instructions which form the basis of Krishna consciousness. And then Lord Chaitanya, after glorifying Sanatan by saying, you actually know what you are just asking out of humility, and because it is the nature of the sadhu to ask and always, want to hear. Then he says one very nice verse, which this that verse from Achirad eva sarvatah siddhiti esham abhipsitah saddharmasyavabodhaya yesham nirbandhini matihi. Naradiya Puran. This is also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Lord Chaitanya quotes this verse, which of course Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is not yet compiled, but this is also quoted in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, as when this conversation was happening. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was not compiled. Those who are eager to awaken their spiritual consciousness and who have unflinching, undeviated intelligence attain the desired goal of life very soon. So what Lord Chaitanya is saying is, he's actually glorifying Sanatan Goswami. So fixed. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna glorifies, not glorifies, he tells Arjuna that for one who is on this path, he is resolute in his determination. Anyone knows that verse? For those who are irresolute, their intelligence is many branched. Anyone? व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि एकेह कुरुनंदन बहुशाखा ह्यनंताश्च बुद्धयो हि अव्यवसायी. Unflinching, undeviated intelligence. When that strong faith comes in Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, one is absorbing everything that comes from Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chittete Koriya Aikya, Arana Kariho Manya. So such individuals advance very rapidly. Others go very, very slowly. You are qualified. You have that kind of unflinching intelligence. Yogya Patra, how to me? Bhakti Pravartayate. You are the right candidate to distribute bhakti. That is why I am going to tell you, Krame Sabha Tattva Suna, all the devotional conclusions, the Tattva, philosophical truths. Now listen from me. Kahiye to mate, I am going to tell you. So very clearly, Lord Chaitanya tells him the objective. I am teaching you all the truths because it is your service after learning from me to propagate this knowledge all over the world. Please hear them. So from here, from verse 108 onwards, interesting. Chaitanya Madhya Lila 20th chapter, verse 108 onwards, the actual Sanatan Shiksha, the actual spiritual truth elucidation of the essence of Lord Chaitanya's teachings is expanded. Now, this chapter has 400 odd verses. It's not a small chapter. We are only on verse 108. But this whole teaching is so, this whole set of teachings is fundamental to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and especially to the proper understanding of bhakti, the process of bhakti, Bhagwan, Jiva, their relationship, all that is so fundamental, especially in the light of Gaudiya Vaishnava teachings, that we should not rush through this chapter because it will be a disservice. If Sanatan Goswami ran for 4, 5, 7 days, whatever number of days through forests to reach this situation, to listen to this, I think we can spare a few hours peacefully sitting in our living rooms or study tables or wherever we are sitting in nice air condition in front of Zoom. Take a little bit trouble, hear it in a bit more detail. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Siddhanta baliya chitte nakaraho alas. Yaha hoite Krishna lage sudruda manas. Do not be lazy to understand Siddhanta. And that's what Lord Chaitanya said, I'm going to tell you the Siddhanta. Or Tattva. Tattva is Siddhanta. Truths. Iha hoite Krishna lage sudruda manas. Because when you understand these philosophical truths properly, with faith and with clarity of intelligence, then you can fix your mind on Krishna firmly. Unless the intelligence is convinced and has reconciled all various aspects of the confusion and resolved it to a crystal clear understanding of who I am, why I am here, why I am suffering, what is the process, where I have to go. He sorted out, as they say in modern parlance, unless he's sorted out uh, in his spiritual intelligence, he cannot firmly take shelter of Krishna consciousness because he will always be Bahushakha. He'll always be, oh, is this really true? Is this really necessary? Do I need to do this? Sometimes he'll do excitedly, sometimes he'll think, I don't want to do, why should I do? The firm intelligence to take shelter of Krishna will not come. So please excuse me if you are feeling frustrated, angry that I'm going so slow. I beg your forgiveness. But I just feel more important than teachings of rasa and higher levels of devotion, which we spoke about. Before we can get there, because Rupa Goswami's instructions happened before Sanatan Goswami, this is a more fundamental course. This is the beginner's course. That topic actually rides on top of this topic. So instructions to Sanatan are more foundational and more important for us, for any beginner in Krishna consciousness. So please make sure that you are very crystal clear in these concepts. And if not, read them, ask questions, and in that way become fixed in your spiritual understanding. The first verse, 108th verse itself, Lord Chaitanya begins by saying, he asks, right, who am I? Lord Chaitanya answers, Jivera Swarupa Haya Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tatastha Shakti Bheda Bheda Prakash. What is the eternal nature of the soul? The eternal original Swarup, the original nature. Right now, it is a distorted nature. Right now, in the conditions, is a distorted nature. So, no, I don't feel like Krishna is eternal servant. If anybody asks us, I don't feel, I feel in a mood to watch TV, to go and eat out in a restaurant. I rarely feel to go and try to serve Krishna. What to speak of eternally serving him? How can that be my eternal nature? But the real eternal nature is Krishnera Nityadas, eternally, to be of servitude to Krishna. Why? Krishnera Tatastha Shakti. The Jiva is the marginal potency, Tatastha Shakti, Bheda Bheda Prakash. It's an energy of Krishna, and because it's an energy of Krishna, the living entity is simultaneously one and different from Krishna. How? One and different. Suryamsha Kirana Yaiche Agni Jwala Chaya. Just as there are particles of fire coming from the sun rays. So sun rays are considered like small specks of the sun coming out. Surya Amsha Kirana, a particle from the ray of the sun. Like that, just like that particle also has heat and light, like the sun. Similarly, the part and parcel of the Lord, the Jiva, Swabhavika Krishnera Tina Prakara Shakti hai. So the living entity is eternally part and parcel of the Lord, simultaneously one and different from the Lord, and naturally Swabhavika Krishnera. The Lord has three kinds of energies. Tina Prakara Shakti. So he's addressing the core subject first, because only when you understand who you actually are, then you figure out what situation you are in now, what is the gap, then there is a process of how to resolve that gap. Correct? I mean, that's how we approach everything, right? Huh? I want to be a doctor. Right now, I am in kindergarten. So, how do I go from kindergarten to being a doctor? There's a process. So, I know what my original source is, but right now I'm in a distorted situation. Why am I? Why am I in a distorted situation, and how do I go back? So, these are the questions. So, Lord Chaitanya first starts this whole conversation by giving an explanation of the concept of Shakti and the types of Shaktis of Bhagavan. So, he says, just like the sun is in one place and the sunshine spreads all over existence, similarly, the energies of the Lord spread all over existence. This is a verse from Vishnu Puran, which explains like that. And there are three types of energies, huh, which are transformations of Krishna's original energy. Krishna has a Swarupa Shakti, which is a spiritual energy, and then there are transformations of broadly three categories: Chit Shakti, the spiritual energy; Jiva Shakti, the living entities; and Maya Shakti, or the illusory energy. Three energetic transformations. Automatically, Swabhavika, the Supreme Lord has. And then Lord Chaitanya quotes from the Padma Puran to give a proof of this. And this is a very, very famous verse. Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse also many times. Vishnu Shakti Para Prukta Kshetra Dnyakhya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Samnyaya Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. Originally, Krishna's energy is spiritual, and the energy known as living entity is also spiritual. However, there is another energy called illusion, which consists of fruitive activity. That is the Lord's third potency. Okay. So, in very simple words, the Lord's energies can be broadly categorized into three: spiritual, material, and marginal. Huh? Marginal means what? Between material and spiritual. Huh? Material, we are in the material world, huh, full of fruitive activity, where birth, old age, disease, and that happen. Spiritual, which is manifested in the spiritual world, and a marginal energy, which is essentially spiritual, but because the constituents of that energy are so tiny in their spiritual composition that they are adaptable both on the spiritual energy side as well as on the material energy side. That is why they are known as tatastha. Correct? An example of the word tatastha. Tata means bank, just like on the bank of the sea. Correct? You go to the beach, right? Go to the beach. What is the characteristic of the beach? There is a part of the beach which is neither in the sea, but it is still wet. The waves will come, go over, again recede. So it is on the bank. Sometimes it is covered by water, sometimes it is not covered by water. That is tata. Tata means the bank. This side is spiritual, the ocean. This side is material, the land. The tata. The, so all these energies have a tremendous, unlimited, inconceivable potential. And through these energies, the Lord is able to manifest both spiritual and material manifestations. Of course, in the spiritual world, everything is manifested through the Chit Shakti of the Lord. But in the material world, the manifestation is a combo of two energies, the Maya Shakti for the non living things, and the Jiva Shakti, which is the conscious soul which animates the non living universe. Correct? If you remember in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that apareyam itastunnam prakritim vidhime param jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharyate jada. This material world is jada, made of the apara energy, the external energy. But what is animating this world is my tatastha shakti, the jiva shakti, which is infused into this world and makes it alive. Is the material energy alive? No. The jivas make the create the dynamism within the material energy. Wherever the living entity is, and the living entity is practically everywhere, that makes the jada energy put into motion. And this energy, this living entity, the Kshetrajna, can either be in the material world or can be in the spiritual. If the living entity chooses to be in the material world because of its ignorance or wrong decision, then the constitutional position of the living entity as the eternal part and parcel and servant of the Lord becomes covered. So the living entity, based on its constitutional, Krishnera Jivera Swarupai Krishnera Nityadas. But if the Jiva, because he is given a freedom, so Tatastha, energy of the Lord, has one very special quality, and that special quality is that the Jiva is given the freedom, the free will to decide whether he wants to willfully serve the Lord or not serve the Lord. So this is one thing the Lord never takes away. The Lord allows each of his zillions and quadrillions and unlimited amshas, each one individually, to make that choice for himself, what it wants to do. Whether it wants to be in the superior energy and play its role as a servant of the Lord, and in that way enjoy the spiritual existence in the Lord's presence, which means be situated in its Swarupa. Some jivas may choose that. Some jivas may say that, no, why should I serve Krishna? Let me look the other way. Oh, that bank, that beach looks so nice. Why should I be in this water? Let me go to the beach. I just go there and check out for a while how it is. Correct? Sometimes people become very inquisitive. So I want to go to this bar and discotheque and see and check out what is there. I've never been there. They go there, they get so attracted because they are not yet situated in their pure Krishna consciousness. They get bewildered, and their ignorance causes them to forget their constitution. To the extent material energy or ignorance, the potency of avidya, covers over the real nature of the living entity, proportionately, the living entity is in illusion and he suffers. The more he is covered, the more he suffers. The less he is covered, the less he suffers. It's as simple as that. It's all a product of avidya. Avidya, in very simple words, means ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of his original position. So the root cause, Lord Chaitanya is telling Sanatan Goswami, of the living entity's forgetful suffering condition, because Sanatan had asked, right, why am I suffering this threefold misery? He's addressing that question now. Why am I suffering? Who am I? You are an eternal servant of Krishna. Why you are suffering? Because you are meant as Tatastha, you are meant to serve Krishna, but you chose to become an enjoyer rather than servant. Because you chose to be an enjoyer and you came into material energy covers over your real identity. Krishna bhuli sei jiva anadi bahirmukha ata eva maya tare deya samsara dukha. Lord Chaitanya answers that question in a very beautiful verse. Forgetting Krishna, the jiva has been attracted to the external energy, which is made of the three modes. Seems so much more better than serving Krishna. From a distance, it seems jagmag, 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 jagmag. There I have to serve. Here I can enjoy, I can be the boss. There's another verse. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhogavancha kari nikatera mayatara jhapatiya dhari. As soon as the living entity who's on the bank, he's neither, sometimes he's many Indians when they go to the beach, they neither go into the water nor they sit on the sand. They will walk in the water on the bank. They don't want to get wet. So they want to enjoy the water also, they want to remain dry also. Right? Yeah. I've seen many places, many beaches you go, you'll see all the other countries' residents, they will be in their swimming clothes, they'll jump into the water. The Indians will just roll up their pants just above their knees and or their skirts above their knees and all standing in the water and taking photos. So neither here nor there. But when one is very close to Maya, like this in that zone, Nikatastha Maya Tara Jhapatiya Dhari. As soon as the Jiva looks in the direction of Maya, is standing in that middle region. I don't quite want to go there, but that side looks interesting. And looking at that side, it has a Bhoga Vancha. Bhoga Vancha means I want to enjoy there. This looks good, man. I'll just quickly go there and come. As soon as he thinks he wants to enjoy, it is said the energy of Maya Jhapatiya Dhari. It snatches him in, just like a wave. Sometimes you're on the bank of the sea, the waves are such, they will drag you into the ocean. Right? Some oceans are very rough, like Jagannath Puri's ocean. It's like that. So very careful. I just stand a little bit, but the waves, there's an undercurrent which will pull your feet and drag you inside the ocean. Katastha Maya Tara Jhapatiya Dhari. As soon as the Jiva wants to enjoy, because there is no scope for any other enjoyer other than the Supreme Lord in the spiritual kingdom. So actually, it's not, in one sense, it's not Krishna punishing. Krishna is just facilitating the desire of the Jiva, because the Krishna gave free will to the Jiva. Krishna is telling, okay, you really think you're finding that attractive? It looks like you're not very convinced you want to serve me. Why don't you try it out? Jao, maza karke aao. Sometimes when the children are too naughty, the parents will tell them, okay, you go out and do. Then they end up hurting themselves. Papa, I should have listened to you. Why did I do like that? Then they never do that again. Correct? Prabhupada sometimes gives the example. Father tells the child, don't touch fire. It will burn you. Child doesn't want to listen. And the father is not looking. It looks so nice, looks so attractive, shining. Ah! Starts crying. Papa, mommy. See, I told you, you didn't listen. Now you want to touch? Go, go, touch, touch. No, no, no. Now I don't. Then you stay very far. And this happens because the jiva is tatastha. And it is very tiny. The Lord is never overwhelmed with Maya because he is full of the Sarupa Shakti and unlimited. Maya doesn't have the potency to overwhelm and cover up Bhagavan or his spiritual energy. But Jiva, even though he is spiritual, in constitution, because he is tiny, he can be overwhelmed. These are very important philosophical concepts to understand. It's tiny, so he can be overwhelmed. And when his identity gets covered, or when he totally forgets where I came from, I am spiritual, this, that, he becomes totally lost in the world of Maya. Then Maya nicely beats him up. He doesn't even realize he's now trapped and he's being beaten up. So, since time immemorial, the Jiva is going through the cycle of birth, old age, disease, that birth, he doesn't even remember when he got trapped, since when he's doing this. Sometimes he goes to Swarga by performing pious activities, sometimes he goes to Naraka, sometimes he's beaten up nicely by material energy, like a criminal. uh. An example is given, Lord Chaitanya tells, just like sometimes the government will punish a criminal by putting his head, dunking his head into water. And when the person is, like about to drown and cannot breathe and gasping for breath, they'll pull his head out. Few breaths of happy breathing he will have. And when he's barely recuperated, they'll put his head again into the water. So that is the nature of material happiness and misery in this world. That is how the Shastras describe. So the pure soul in that way becomes materially infected. So then he quotes another very beautiful verse. This verse is from the Srimad Bhagavat, Lord Chaitanya quotes. It is an instruction which a great sage named as Kavi, a rishi named as Kavi, one of the 9 Yogendras he gives. And this is quoted by Narad Muni. It's a very beautiful verse. It's also a verse which Prabhupada has quoted quite a few times. Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshatah syad ishad apetasya viparyo asmritihi tan maya yato udha abhajet tama bhaktaika yesham guru devata. It's a very nice verse. It summarizes what we have discussed so far very nicely. And I will read the translation because it's very nice. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is a separated energy of Krishna, he becomes full of fear. He's overpowered by fear. Why is he overpowered by fear? Because he's situated in duality. He is situated in a sense of separation from the Lord. And his conception of life becomes totally reversed. Rather than seeing everything as part and parcel of the Lord, which is the true Advaya Jnana, the true non-dual knowledge, Advaya Jnana, that there is nothing beyond the Lord and his energies, and the duty of the energies to serve the Lord. That is the true Advaya Jnana. He becomes situated in duality, thinking, I am the enjoyer and this world is for my enjoyment. So instead of being Krishna's servant, he develops an attitude of becoming Krishna's competitor. Viparyayo asmritihi. This is known as Viparyayaho asmritihi. This particular situation. Viparyaya means reversal of position. Instead of being servant, he is taking an artificial position of a master because of asmriti, because of forgetfulness of his real position. The eternal servant becomes a temporary illusioned master. He's never actually a master. Even in the material world, the Jiva is never a master. He is in the illusion that he's a master. That's why he's suffering. The master of Maya is always Bhagavan only. The Jiva never becomes the master of Maya. Actually, it's very interesting. We discussed this some time ago. The Jiva is always a servant. Either he's servant of the Lord under the spiritual energy, or he's servant of the Lord under the material energy. But he always remains servant. But under the spiritual energy, he is cognizant that he's an eternal servant. But under the material energy, he is bewildered and because of avidya, he thinks he's a master, whereas actually he's under the control of the asat shakti. This is called viparyayo asmriti. To nullify this mistake of the jiva. What is that mistake? You want to enjoy independent of the Lord. One who is actually learned, the Bhagavatam says, worships the Supreme Lord as the Supreme Spiritual Master, huh? As his worshipable deity and the source of everything that exists. And by following this process of devotional service, he overcomes his reversal and becomes resituated in his original spiritual consciousness. साधु शास्त्र कृपाय यदि कृष्णोन्मुखय से जीव निस्तारे माया tahare chadaya. So if by following this process of devotional service, by being Krishna unmukha, Krishnonmukha means favorably approaching Krishna. One is to go away from Krishna, one is to come towards Krishna. If he comes towards Krishna through devotional service by the mercy of sadhu and shastra, how to get Krishna's mercy? Through the mercy of sadhu and shastra. Then the jiva can be delivered. And then only Maya will leave him. Chalo, chhod deta hu. Go back to your home. And without that, Maya will not. Maya tara jhapatiya dhari. I will hold on to him very tightly. As long as the jiva doesn't give up his enjoyment propensity, and he will not give up his enjoyment propensity unless he accepts shelter of Krishna and follows the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, undo his exploitative mentality and reverse that back to a consciousness of dedication rather than exploitation. So that is a very, very important instruction. So I want to stop here. It's 10 o'clock. So we completed 100 and verses up to 120. So we roughly covered 20 verses. So some sections we will do faster, but this is very, very important fundamental things. That's why I don't want to rush so much. So I'm opening up the floor. Any questions or comments on what we have discussed today? We can take.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Sridharji, Haribol.
Prabhuji, one question. Here you said like since the our like propensity of spiritual is very minute, that is why like the Maya will be overwhelmed, right?
Since we are very minute,
Yeah.
the jiva is very minute. The jiva, if it takes shelter of the spiritual energy, cannot be overwhelmed by the material energy. But the jiva, if it doesn't take shelter of the spiritual energy, but in its tatastha position looks towards Maya and says, oh, I want to enjoy, then he becomes susceptible to Maya's grip. He can come under Maya's grip. You understand? So the jiva in his neutral position can go in either direction. If he already has properly taken shelter of spiritual energy, then even Maya cannot overwhelm him. Because not even though the jiva is tiny, because he's already sheltered by the Lord's spiritual energy, Maya energy cannot overwhelm him. But if he's still in the middle, means right now, if he has not either decided to serve Krishna or to serve Maya, but he's looking towards Maya. Sometimes this example is given. This is just for our understanding. It may not literally happen like this, but just think you are standing on the bank, right? Like what you said. Should I go here or should I go here? You are given a choice. Right? And you look in the direction of Maya. You find it attractive because you are not yet safe. Safely situated in the spiritual energy. Maya has the power to suck you into her zone. And that susceptibility comes through the desire to be an independent enjoyer. So that is why that Prabhupada often says is, the root of the problem. And that is why the medicine to that problem is to slowly work on giving up the enjoyer mentality and develop a service mentality towards the Supreme. Yeah, excuse me. Do you understand?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Then we can end here. So thank you so much. So we will meet on Saturday and we'll continue our discussion. I hope this is okay. Is this space okay for this part, or do you think it is getting into too much detail?
It's
Juleka
fine.
Mataji is doing like this. She's very happy. Thank you, Mataji. But anyway, you can have different. Krishna gives choice, so what can I say? Okay, Sridharji.
Yeah, Prabhuji. It's fine.
Yeah. I saw you dancing at yesterday's program. Nice.
Thank you.
I got a video broadcast. Okay, I think everyone is there. No protest means I will go on. Anyway, some of you may feel too embarrassed to say. It's okay. I think our objective is not just to just go through for the sake of going through. Then no point. Uh, yeah, this Sanatan Shiksha is very, very important. These basics are very, very important. Okay. Thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Anand Sundari
Thank you,
Mataji,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Sridhari
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu,
Thank
thank you
you,
Prabhu,
Veena
Dandavat
Santana
Pranams
Ji,
Prabhu.
Haribol Induleka Mataji,
Thank you,
Sarvalakshmi
Prabhuji.
Mataji, Jiniji Haribol, Hare Krishna, Suraj, Shanni Mataji, Sridhar and family.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhuji.